Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Just doing another DVD Blu-ray update for you again. I think we're in, well, I think we're a few days early, I think, but I think it's, it should be June 2012 update. I think I got, I think that's 6 or 7 here, I think, to show you. Well, I've also watched a few. Went to cinema and watched a couple, and so I might do still a bit of a talk about some of them as well. I've actually just went and saw, a few hours ago, Men in Black 3, which I thought was pretty good, I thought. I've sort of recently sort of watched the first two. I thought they were pretty good. Yeah, I thought the third one was pretty good. I think the first sort of half an hour I didn't really like it that much. I sort of found it a bit silly, and I think they were sort of going for comedy, and it was just a bit silly, I thought, the first sort of half an hour. Once you sort of get into the sort of main storyline, it actually gets a lot more interesting, and I guess a lot more serious. I think it wasn't necessarily as sort of funny or comical, I suppose, as perhaps the other sort of movies. But I thought it was definitely worth a good sort of movie, good sort of interesting sort of storyline, and a few cool things happened. But I didn't perhaps like the end. I think the thing at the end was a bit, I don't know, I thought that was a bit silly. But anyway, I was also went and saw The Dictator, Sacha Baron Cohen, how you say it? Sacha, whatever his name is. Sacha Baron Cohen, that's it, yeah. Yeah, which I thought was actually quite good. A lot of people really, I watched a few other reviews, and a lot of people didn't really like that much, but I thought it was pretty good. It's not my sort of type of film, I guess. It's a bit silly and crude, and I don't normally sort of like those sort of movies, but my friends and me have sort of got a bit of a tradition, I suppose. We went and sort of saw, Borat, and then we sort of went to the cinema and then we watched, Bruno, and then we went the third time to go and see. So it's been perhaps a bit of a tradition, I guess, for us. So I think I've sort of enjoyed pretty much all three of the movies. I sort of I'm pretty sure I've only sort of seen each movie once. I think I'll just go to the cinema and sort of watch it once and sort of laugh, and I don't feel the need perhaps to go and see them again, but to watch them again. But I thought it was pretty good. A lot of, I don't know, sort of, it was more, some things were sort of more the same, more sort of dumb, degrading women jokes, and sort of putting women down. I thought that was a bit tired, I suppose. You sort of heard all those sort of jokes before. That sort of fell a bit flat for me. I think sort of the main storyline I thought was pretty interesting, and I don't know, in some ways it sort of kind of had a bit of a fresh sort of take to it, I suppose. Especially for a third film. Normally after the sort of third film of trying to do the same sort of same sort of style, you can sort of fall a bit flat. But I thought it was actually reasonably good. I think some of the jokes sort of fell a bit flat, and a few scenes that are which are a bit boring and stuff, I suppose. But I think overall I did enjoy it. I thought it was some nice sort of things, and nice little hooks and nice little things that made you sort of enjoy the film. So that was pretty good. Yeah, so we're going to my what I got here. Start with Super, which I sort of did a bit of a pickup video of the other day with Ellen Page, Liv Tyler, Kevin Bacon. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure about this movie. I might have to perhaps watch it again. I don't know. Some bits I liked and some bits I didn't like. Basically, essentially, it's about let's have a look here. So Frank Rain, he's the main guy, and he's sort of girlfriend. So I think his wife. His wife leaves him for another man. He sort of I don't know. That sort of makes him snap a bit, and so he sort of tries to sort of win her back. So he sort of dresses up as the Crimson Bolt, and sort of goes out and sort of fights crime, and sort of I don't know, trying to win his wife back, I suppose, and sort of like a normal guy, sort of dressing up in a superhero costume, trying to be a superhero, I guess. And you sort of got Ellen Page. She's sort of the comic book store, and sort of helps him out by sort of fighting crime a bit, and it was an interesting idea, and You know, had some interesting ideas, but yeah, I don't know. It didn't sort of. I just think it could have been perhaps done a little bit better. It wasn't. It didn't sort of quite grab me the way that it should have done. Yeah, I mean, if you're sort of into sort of, you know, sort of over the top sort of senseless violence type sort of action, sort of comic book type movies or whatever, I'm pretty sure you'd probably like that one. That's when I watched. I sort of had showed this before in three movie pack. I just sort of watched. It's got, you know, Natural Born Killers, Any Given Sunday, and Alexander. I just watched Natural Born Killers the other day, which I've never sort of seen before. I think I've seen perhaps the opening scene, sort of in the diner and stuff. Essentially, it's about sort of Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. They're sort of like a married couple and a bit sort of crazy and sort of this sort of massive adventure by sort of driving across America and just sort of killing people and sort of being, I don't know, it says they're serial killers, but I don't think they're actually not quite serial killers, though. Sort of just go out and, I don't know, just sort of kill people and go on this big sort of, I don't know, kind of like a, I don't know, I wouldn't say drug fueled, but this is, because I don't think they take drugs, but well, I think they do a little bit. But anyway, just sort of go out and have this sort of massive adventure and just kill people and just, you know, go crazy. And it's definitely a film that I think came out in '94. I think it's definitely one of those films we sort of say, well, you know, the top, you know, 250 films you should watch before you die type movie. I thought it was a really good sort of well sort of put together type movie, and it would have been, I don't know, I reckon it would have been pretty hard to sort of film all the scenes, and it's sort of non-stop sort of action, and it's really sort of engrossing, I suppose, to a certain extent. I know it was perhaps a bit. What I enjoyed it, I did sort of find it was a bit sort of over the top for me and a bit too sort of arty. There's a lot of sort of art behind it, a lot of sort of bit of symbolism in it, and, you know, sort of how we sort of, you know, how we sort of treat sort of criminals and how we sort of, you know, try to hype them up a bit and sort of stylise them and, you know, try and make it, you know, the next big thing sort of thing, and make it exciting for people, and people sort of get a bit of a kick out of sort of, you know, seeing, you know, sort of glorifying criminals, I suppose, is the, you know, sort of best way to describe it, I suppose. But I thought it wasn't too bad of a film. I should have probably watched it a long time ago. I heard a lot of good things about it, and a lot of people have been on the forums a bit, and a lot of people didn't seem to like it much. But a lot of people really did like it. I thought it was a really good movie, and definitely one you should definitely sort of check out. But just for me, it was perhaps a bit over the top, and a bit too arty, a bit too stylised, perhaps. For me, but I did enjoy it though, on the most part. Next one I got was one that I've heard a lot of bad things about, but I really wanted to watch it. And actually, I think the next two I've sort of downloaded and watched them. And I think they both came out last year. I sort of just downloaded them first and watched them, and then I think like yesterday I bought them both. I did sort of quite enjoy them. Yeah, talking about Sucker Punch, which a lot of people really didn't seem to like much. I heard a lot of bad things about it. But I actually thought it wasn't too bad. I mean, from what I sort of understood, it was supposed to be just over the top. You know, lots of, you know, girls not wearing much and lots of CGI, lots of just a CGI shitfest of lots of, you know. But it was actually, that was sort of only half the film. It also had a bit of a sort of deep storyline to a bit of a, I don't know, disturbing type storyline sort of behind it, which was sort of for me, I sort of found really interesting to watch, because I was sort of expecting this sort of big CGI, you know, nonsense type flick, and then these sort of depressing things that sort of happen, and I sort of think, well, that's a bit strange, a bit sort of, you know, a bit perverted, and a bit. I just thought it might have been me, perhaps. I was sort of thinking that, but it is actually quite sort of dark in some sort of spots. It's definitely a sort of strange sort of film, because it's like a half film. You sort of got half the movie's all CGI action scenes and robots and zombies, and, you know, all the girls sort of killing, you know, zombies and robots and samurais and all sort of stuff. And then you've also got sort of the main sort of storyline where the Sweet Pea, the main sort of character, played by Emily Browning. She's think she accidentally sort of. I think her father's a bit of a sort of abusive towards her, her and her sister, and I think she sort of fights back and sort of ends up sort of shooting him. But she also accidentally kills the sister by shooting the gun, and so she sort of gets sent to like a mental hospital sort of thing, just where she sort of gets locked up, I suppose, or whatever. And but she sort of goes in there and sort of has sort of fantasies about this sort of ulterior sort of world of zombies and sort of her sort of killing and kicking butt and sort of all sorts of stuff. I think it's, I don't know, the way perhaps to sort of cope with her being in this sort of mental facility or whatever. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a lot of symbolism in it. A lot of those sort of sort of the mental hospital isn't a mental hospital anymore. It's now it's like a sort of a, I don't know, I wouldn't suppose like, I don't know, like a burlesque show, I suppose, or whatever. Like a sort of a dance, like, I don't know, it was like either like a sort of a slash between like a strip joint and like a brothel sort of thing. It's sort of, it's, I don't know, it's very a bit hard to explain, I suppose. A lot of sort of symbolism in it, and a lot of. There's one I need to sort of watch again, perhaps we need to sort of watch it a few times to get more of a grasp on what's actually her dream and what the sort of dreams represent, I suppose, and stuff. But a lot of people, I don't know, perhaps just thought it was way over the top, and it is some of the sort of action scenes do go a bit long, I think, and I did get a bit sick of them after a while. But you sort of have like sort of probably a 10-minute action scene full on, and then you sort of have a quick 3 to 5 minute, well, it seemed to me like 3 or 5 minute sort of actual storyline of her being in this strip joint or whatever, and some of the acting was pretty horrible. But yeah, I definitely wanted to perhaps watch. I did watch the director's cut. I don't know if that makes a difference. Well, I think a lot of people, suppose, I don't know, sometimes people go to sort of see things in the cinema and watch the short theatrical version and reckon it's crap, and then you sort of, when they actually release them out on DVD or Blu-ray, they sort of do have the director's cut, so you sort of, I think sometimes they sort of expand the storyline a bit and sort of make a bit better film, and so I think sometimes you need to sort of watch films, the director's cut, sometimes to, get a bit more of an idea of the whole sort of movie. Next one I got, on that came out, The Thing. Well, they say it's a prequel, but, well, I don't know, it's, I mean, you probably can disagree with me on this, but, this would be a remake, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be a remake of the John Carpenter's movie. It'd be a remake of the original 1950s A Thing from Another World. I think that's what it's called, movie. And the John Carpenter one would be like a sequel, wouldn't it? Because if you watch the original 1950s one, it's pretty much what happens in this one. There's this group of people in the Antarctic sort of go out and find this sort of spaceship and this alien sort of buried in the snow, and they sort of dig him up and sort of put him in the storeroom, and he melts and comes out and attacks them all, which is what happens in this one. So this would actually be a remake. A remake of that one. But anyway, but I didn't think I heard a lot of bad things about this one, and I didn't think it was too bad. A lot of people sort of complained about the CGI and stuff, but I think there were a couple of sort of bad CGI moments, but there were a few other ones that I thought weren't too bad, and there are some practical effects in this one as well, which I thought weren't too bad. So yeah, basically, I think it's sort of essentially supposed to be, if you want to call it a sort of a prequel to the John Carpenter's one, I suppose it is. It's sort of what sort of happens before. What sort of happens before in the John Carpenter's one. Essentially, so they dig up they find the spaceman, dig him up, and alien, not a spaceman, is he? Dig him up, then he obviously attacks them all, and I thought it was reasonably good. Because I'd say, I'm probably going to get a lot of trouble for saying this, but I'm not a sort of huge fan of the John Carpenter's movie. I know probably I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. I don't know. I just don't see that. I don't know. For me, it's perhaps a little bit too overhyped, I think. It's a good movie, and I did sort of enjoy it. And after sort of watching this one, I do appreciate the John Carpenter's one a little bit more. But I don't know. I just sort of found the John Carpenter one to be a bit. I I just didn't find it all that suspenseful in some spots. So I sort of found perhaps the pacing was a bit off, and some of the acting I thought wasn't all that sort of believable. It's definitely a great movie though. I have watched it a few times. I should probably watch it again, and hopefully after a few more views I might, perhaps appreciate it a little bit more. I thought this was pretty good though. Next one I got is a DVD, one called Strings, which is essentially, basically it's a whole movie. I think it's about 140 minutes or something like that. It's all sort of done with string puppets. It's kind of like a storyline, and but I actually thought it wasn't too bad of a movie though. It sort of would have been a very hard movie to make. And I think I heard they did. I think they went like $1 million over budget with it, and a lot of when they sort of were trying to pitch the film, just to the studios to try and get puppets to the puppeteers to sort of help make the film. They sort of said they were crazy. No way they were going to take part of that, because it was just going to be too hard to sort of make a whole movie with all these with all these characters, all these sort of puppets, all these strings, and it would have been quite an effort to sort of have all it would have been quite an effort to sort of have all these puppeteers trying to control all these puppets with all these strings, and but I thought it was a pretty decent film. Essentially, it's about I think it's kind of I think it's a king. I think he is, and he's I think the king sort of commits suicide. I think sort of at the beginning of the film, and so he sort of leaves a note for his son, sort of explaining why he's committed suicide, and so he sort of commits suicide, and then the brother of the king, sort of the evil brother, comes along and sort of sees reads the note, and sort of he sort of throws the note away, and sort of he paints like a symbol on the wall of the enemy, like it's like another clan which they sort of really despise. They've sort of been fighting for years, and he sort of paints this big sort of thing on the wall, and of course the son comes along and there's no note to read, and he just sees his son, his father dead, and this sort of sign of the enemy. So of course he obviously thinks that the enemy's come along and sort of killed his father, so he sort of seeks revenge, and that's basically where the movie goes. He sort of goes on adventure to sort of have revenge for his father and stuff. But I thought it was pretty good. There's a bit of sort of film grain in it. It's a bit too much grain. Well, I don't mind a little bit of grain though. That's all right. And it's just it was very well made, and I just think maybe they should have I don't know, had some more money and a bit more time with it. They might have. It just wasn't quite perfect there for me. But definitely, great movie. Look, great mythology behind it, and great sort of use of rain. There's a lot of rain and sort of depressing scenes in it, and there's like a birth scene of one of the puppets, and that's quite interesting to watch, and it's really really interesting to watch all these sort of puppets and how they sort of react with each other, and but I thought that was definitely worth a good movie. I'm just not quite sure when it came out. Don't think it says, but definitely if you like sort of animation type movies, or even sort of string puppets, that's definitely a good one to watch. That's pretty much it, I think. What else have I think that might do it. I think. I did sort of watch. What are the movies have I watched? I did watch. I watched The Fighter and The Warrior. I watched them recently, which I thought were pretty good. The Fighter was pretty good, apart from Michael Bay. Bane, what's his first name? Him. Well, he was pretty good. A very sort of annoying character, but it was a good sort of acting performance. Christian Bale, that's it. Definitely a great performance by Christian Bale, and a very sort of annoying character he was playing, but it was actually good acting in it, and thought it was a reasonably good movie. Sort of a bit sad to watch, and his family were very much sort of annoying, very I don't know, stressful. I don't know. Just trying to think of the right word. Very annoying type family. And then I watched The Warrior, which came out last year, and a lot of people really love that movie, and so I was, you know, very sort of keen to sort of watch it. I think it was a pretty good, really good film, and I think people just maybe overhyped it a bit too much, because I was perhaps a little bit disappointed with it. It's a very sort of similar story to The Fighter, which I suppose is not necessarily a criticism, I suppose. But I just felt it just lacked a few things. It lacked a bit of sort of the back storyline between the brothers, and I wasn't quite. I mean, I think it wasn't like a download. It wasn't actually a proper, you know, Blu-ray version or DVD copy. So I think maybe the sound might have been a bit off, and I couldn't sort of hear some of the dialogue, and so I think I sort of missed some of the backstory. And I just still think that perhaps it wasn't explained very well, some of the backstory. And the sort of, you know, got two brothers. We only sort of see only half of the. I think we'll see the Tom Hardy character. We'll see a lot of his him through the movie, and his sort of story, and why, because obviously, you know, about a UFC fight, and they're both brothers are going in the same competition because they want to win the money for different reasons and stuff. So we sort of see a lot of sort of his sort of side. We didn't sort of see a lot of the Tommy was the guy. I can't remember the actor's name. We didn't see sort of much his sort of side of the story, and I think that was missing out of it. And it might have been a bit too long, I think, too. It could have perhaps, you know, 20 minutes to half an hour, a bit shorter, and just, I don't know, spend a bit more time perhaps with the storyline. It would have been, at least for me, it would have been a bit better film. But definitely great, sort of, a lot of good acting in it, and, you know, good storyline, and good, you know, good some tension scenes in it, and definitely was a good film. It just, I don't know, it just could have been a little bit better. It wasn't quite polished for me. It wasn't quite finished. I didn't sort of think. I also watched the Green Hornet, which I thought was a really bad movie. I was really surprised at how awful that movie was. Well, I mean, probably not necessarily the movie was that bad, but just Seth Rogen's performance. It was shocking. He was just a really annoying character, and just really, I don't know, really, I don't know. The film was, yeah, he's just really annoying and sort of selfish, and I don't know, I guess that was supposed to be his character, but I don't know, I just didn't enjoy him as a character at all. And I think I even sort of read somewhere that Seth Rogen said later that you did really, you sort of, after sort of doing the film, you sort of realised he wasn't perhaps quite up to it, and it wasn't necessarily the sort of film that he probably should have done. And also very sort of you know, racial against the Chinese guy. I think it's Chinese. Kato character. Very sort of, I don't know, like Seth Rogen was taking all the credit for all the superhero stuff they were doing, and all the inventions and stuff. He was sort of taking credit for it all, and Kato was just sort of, you know, he was just sort of being used, I guess. And but I guess the same with like the original TV show with Bruce Lee. Apparently he wasn't treated very well on set, and so I don't know if they were trying to recreate that. I don't know, but it's just, yeah, I just thought it was a pretty bad, awful movie. And there was, yeah, probably had like Cameron Diaz in it as well, and she wasn't really used that much. I think she was sort of I think it was more like an eye candy type thing, I suppose. But I thought still she was she's still pretty attractive. A lot of people reckon she's sort of past it. But I mean, she's obviously got a bit older, and there's a few sort of wrinkles around her eyes, perhaps. But she still looks really good, really attractive to me. Really, a couple of sort of scenes where she's sort of in like a sort of a jogging type outfit, and she looks really sort of nice there. So, yeah, so that's my little update for your movie reviews and software. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope I didn't ramble on too much for you. Yeah, so next time, I should probably, I bought a fair few movies recently, so there might be a part 2 to this perhaps, at some point, perhaps in a few weeks' time or something. Yeah, so until next time, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment. Thanks to my new subscribers, which I've got recently. Yeah, till next time, see you later. Bye.